Hello everyone. Welcome to my second video. Today we are going to cover basic chart making, and I'll also introduce to some basic fundamental concepts which we will cover step by step, writing our first code. So get ready with your text editors. If you don't have anyone, I would recommend using Atom editor. I use that a lot in my projects, and I can assure you that it will give you a very good experience. So moving ahead, today we will be learning how to create a chart like this. It's pretty simple, pretty basic, but you need to know how to create these to get to do better stuff later on in future. So as you can see, it is a representation of various various distances. Okay, guys, let's move ahead. Right now, what you need to do is create a folder in any of your drives and then create a file called index.html using Notepad or any other text editor. As I previously told you, I use Atom editor to do all my coding, so you can use that as well. Anyways, moving ahead, the first thing you need to do is just open up command prompt, cmd, and move to the location where you created your index.html. In my case, I created it in E drive, so I'll just quickly go over there. So as you can see, there is index.html, and for now it is empty. So I'll code the whole thing for you guys, and you can follow along. So I'll start off a HTTP server over here. Cool. So it's on. So we can put that aside. So now coming to the coding section. The coding is very basic, so you can just directly start off typing and follow along as I explain to you what each element means. So let me just give a, for formality's sake, okay. So what you have to keep in mind is this. Start off with a style, give a style tag over here and the tag as well, and then comes our division. Give it a class called bar underscore chart or anything that you wish. Alright, so when you quickly go to D3.JS, D3.JS.org, the official website, as you scroll down, you can see that there is a nice snippet for you that you can copy. So I'll put this up in description as well. You can copy it directly if you cannot open d3js.org due to some reasons. If you are using d3.zip to host it on your local machine, then you can have your address in that way as well. So I'm sure you guys know how to edit the address as necessary. So over here I'll directly copy paste the snippet. Okay, so after this we start off another script tag in which our whole code goes in. Okay, so that is it. Okay, so moving ahead. So guys, in my previous video I was telling you how D3 means that data driven documentation. So D3 is all about data. So when we need a chart, we need data as well. So what I would like to say is that we will start off giving the data, a random data, so that we can build our chart on that. So what you need to do is in your script, tag, inside that, start off a variable called data, and then give it values of let's say 0. Okay, I'll go with the values that I used in my in the example that I put up earlier. So okay, so these are the values, these are the distances, these are the miles: 0 miles, 24 miles, 80 miles. So 50 miles and on and so on. So these are the elements in the data that we need to represent. So this forms our data, a very simple data. So this is the data part. So moving ahead, I will write something right now. I'll explain it as I finish the code. So bear with me on this one. So what I write is variable x. I'll make it a function. So d3.scale.linear, and then we have domain from 0 to d3.max data, and then we have another range from 0 to, let us say, 800. Okay, so what is I wrote a quick function. Variable x is equal to d3.scale.linear, and it has attributes of domain and range. Given values are visible. So what is it? So whatever data that you want to represent, you can represent it using whatever amount of units. So for example, if you want to show 21 in the visualization, you can give 21 pixels for that visualization. So that what I'm trying to say over here is that if you want to represent 0, 24, 50, 30, 21 and 80 in a certain way, you need to define what is the scale that you want to implement over there. So for example, you can give 80 pixels of your website for representing 80, but sometimes that might not be enough. So yeah, we can write a function that gives us how to create a certain scale that will change our data into a certain scale so that it'll be represented in a certain way. So what I'm trying to say is that you can give a function that says that whatever value that I enter, give them 100 units each. So if there is 24, you can represent 24 using 2400 pixels of your screen using the function. But it's a tedious process and it's not very viable. So what you do is that you directly write another function that will scale from what domain you want and the range that you give. So when you come over here to var x is equal to d3.scale.linear, what you're trying to say is that I'm using a scale and that scale is going to be linear. What is a linear scale? Linear scale is something which works on linear functions. I'm sure everyone understands linear functions. And in the linear scale, you're giving the domain as 0 to the maximum of the data. Max data represents the maximum value in this data, in this array of numbers. So in this array of numbers, we have 80 as the maximum data. So it automatically tells the system, tells D3 that the domain is from 0 to 80. Let us look at domain and range as x and y in a function. When you have an x and y is the range, y is the value, while x is the domain. A range is the set of values from where you want to represent the domain, the values in the domain. So, for example, 0 in the function will be represented by 0 units, while the D3 max will be represented by 800 units. So that is the meaning of range. You can play around with range as well. Let us do that as we go ahead. We'll come back to this function and discuss further. So if you have seen my previous video, you might have understood that the first core feature of D3 is all about selections. If you want to apply any kind of transformation to any kind of data so that you can visualize it better, first you need to select that data. And I want you guys to have a look at this. We gave a class of bar underscore chart to the division. So what we need to do is What we do is we write down D3.select and we give the class with a dot. I'm pretty sure you understand by dot that this is CSS representation. I have an indentation over here. We select all the divisions, and for each value there will be created each a separate division. So under the division we also have data, and the data will be taken as data as the variable data here. Recall from the previous video we discussed about the feature of enter and exit. So we have enter, we have exit, and we also have update. So the current data is updated, the new data is entered, while the old data is exited. So over here we have new data, so we are not updating any current data or exiting the old data. So what we need to do is we need to write an enter method. And to this enter method we append the div elements, and now comes the important part. We give style underneath these. We give a width, a function of, let us say, function of the value. So the function of the value will be given as return value plus px. So I'm sorry, px in quotations. So let me write one more method and then we will understand why I've written the code over there. So text dot text, also give a function over here as well and give it a variable called my text, and what this will do is it will return my text plus miles. Do not forget the semicolon over there. So okay guys, I'll save this for now. So let me explain this now. Using the select all, we are selecting all the divisions over here and also giving the data. We are loading the data into this selection. So this completes the loading part. So after this, we have the enter, and then in the enter we append new division. We give new properties to it, and over here using style attribute we define the width as a function of the value, and the value takes in these values and adds a px. So px is used in css, obviously the css coding. So what it gives back to the browser will be 20. If there is 24, it will go through this function. As you can see, there is a var x function. So it will go through x function, and what will happen is, for example, there is 50. So 50 goes to this function x of 50, and the x of 50 is returned over here plus px. So that is the meaning of this whole thing. So after that we have text function. This method does not return anything other than the text itself. It will return 24 as a text, and we are adding the miles word as well. Let me give a semicolon over here. So let's test it out right now. Oh no. So after all this is done, we go straight ahead to style. So in the style attribute we give the final attribute of how our bar should look like, the color, the background color, the border color, and all that. And after all this is done, we can visualize our own chart. Okay, let's get done with that first. So quickly, and I'll save it. Give the text color, let us say black. Okay guys, I'm sorry about a very small correction over here. Initially I did not put the two brackets, due to which I had a problem. So linear is a method, so it's a function, so you need to put two brackets or nothing will work. Please check that you have two brackets over here, and let's open up our creation. Okay, so as you can see over here, we have a nice representation, very basic. So we can see that we have 0 miles, 24 miles represented in a bar format. So let me go ahead and show you guys how to manipulate all this. So over here, as I was saying, you can start off the range from, if you want, you can start, if you can give it a 20 for the 0th domain's value. So if I save it right now over here, you can see that there has been an increase, and 0 miles is now shown with 20 pixels. You can show your 0 miles with a stationary value of, let us say, if not 20, you can give it 100 and extend this by another 100, and you can see that all of the values have increased their ranges, and in this way you can play with all the data. Instead of miles, if you want, you can put liters. So you can see that you can use liters, if not liters, and if you're used to ounces or gallons, you can put that as well. And the style sheet is over here. Using this, you can control all your elements. I gave a margin bottom of 5 pixels. You can give it 10 pixels and make it much neater. There you can give a font family of, let us say, Arial. So you can see that you can change the font family as well. So with this video comes to an end, guys. I hope you had fun. I certainly did have fun, and support me by sharing this video and also telling your friends or subscribing to my channel. So this is for today. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.